In this lecture, we're going to look at a few more facilities from the C string library, and those are going to allow us to concatenate and copy strings over. The documentation for what we're going to be talking about can be found here. If you go there, you're going to fall on this link here, and you're going to find that C string was originally in the C standard library as string.h, but in C++ we can use it like this. We have a couple of functions. We can copy stuff, we can concatenate, we can get the string length. We have seen this, but now we're going to look at things that allow us to copy and concatenate stuff, because that's something you may want to do a lot. The first example we're going to look at is std_strcat, which is going to allow you to join strings. Again, you can browse to the documentation here and see more about this facility here, and you're going to see all about it. For now, we're just going to play with it. We're going to set up two arrays. One is going to be called dest. It's going to contain hello. The other is going to be source here, and it's going to contain world. Notice that these are row static arrays that are stored on the stack, and that's how we set them up here. Okay, so we can concatenate strings using the syntax like this. We're going to say std_strcat. We're going to say the destination string, and we're going to say the source string we want to copy from. Okay, so after we do this, the destination is going to contain these two strings joined together. And before you do this, you have to be sure that your destination string is big enough. And this is a problem because you have to really keep track of your destination string, and it is easy to put in many more characters that can really fit in the destination string. That's the reason many of these functions here are considered unsafe by many compilers. I don't think you can compile this on Visual Studio. It's going to stop you from doing this because of this way. You have to keep track of things yourself. But I am just showing you so that you know how to avoid these problems if you happen to be on a compiler that doesn't protect you from this. So we're going to append goodbye world to whatever is in dest. And down here, if we print dest, we're going to have hello world, goodbye world printed out. We are going to play with this in a Visual Studio Code in a minute. Don't worry if any of this doesn't make sense yet. Here is another example of how we can join strings through strcat. We have two strings and we set them up with simple characters like this. You can do this and put in your own null terminating character. This is illegal C++ code. And notice that this array is a dynamic array. It's going to live on the heap because of this new operator here. We also have a source array, which is also going to live on the heap. It is 30 characters long, so it is really long. And we're going to try and concatenate things here. But before we do that, we're going to check their length. We're going to print them out, and we are going to concatenate. The syntax is the same. You are going to say strcat. You're going to specify your destination and your source you're going to be copying stuff from, and you are going to store the result in destination here. What this is going to do, it's going to grab whatever is in source and copy it. So it's going to copy the entire thing here from source, and it's going to append that to whatever we have in destination, starting from the last null character here. So it's going to overwrite from this null character, and it's going to basically copy everything in the destination here. And if we print whatever we have in destination here, we're going to have file load, the Phoenix King printed out. And you're going to see that this is going to be the case when we hit Visual Studio Code in a minute. You can also use a version of the strcat version that is going to allow you to specify how many characters you want to concatenate from the source string. In this case, we have destination, which is hello, and we have source, which is there is a bird on my window. And down here you see that we do strncat. We say the destination, we say the source, and we say how many characters we want copied from the source here. And we say 6 characters, so we are going to count from the source. We're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to grab this there string with this space here, and we're going to append that to the source. And that's what we're going to get in here. We're going to say hello space and there, and that's what we're going to have printed out here if we print dest. We can also copy stuff, and the strcpy function here is going to do that. And here we have an example that is going to try and drive this home for you. We have a source string, which is C++, is a multi-purpose programming language. Okay, dest3 here is going to be the same length as source. We made sure of that in here because we're going to grab the length of the source string. Please remember that strlen is not going to count the null character. That's why we are adding a 1 here to account for the null terminating character here. Okay, after that, we're going to jump down here and say strcpy, dest3 and source3. We are basically going to be copying from source and pasting in destination here. That's what we are doing. If we print destination, we're going to see that now it's going to contain whatever we had in source. And this is how you can use these methods here. We also have a version with which we can specify how many characters we want copied from the source. Here we have a source string, which is hello. We have a destination string, which is dest4. And we are going to copy stuff. We're going to copy from the source. We're going to paste in the destination. And we are just going to copy 5 characters. What this is going to do is copy everything from the source and paste in our destination, and it is going to override whatever we have in the starting indexes in destination here. So we're going to have A, B, C, D, E here replaced by hello, and if we print dest here, we're going to have hello F printed out. This is how these things work, and if you wonder how I know how these things work, I just come and read the documentation here. For example, strncpy here, if we click on it, we are going to get the documentation. This is going to say copies at must count characters of the byte string, source, including the null terminating character to the character array pointed to by dest. That's what it does. We have the destination, we have the source, and we have how many characters we want copied. And they say a few things you need to be careful about this guy here. One thing that you usually care about is the return value. You see that the return value is going to be the destination string. So if you want this pointer, you can use it. And you can go down and look at a few examples here and play with them to really drive the point home. Okay, now that you have an idea about how these guys work, we are going to head over to Visual Studio Code and play with them right away. Okay, here we are in our working folder. The current project is C string concatenation and copy. That's what we are doing here. We're going to copy our template files and jump to our current project and put them in place. We're going to open this in Visual Studio Code pretty quick. We are going to include C string because that's what we're going to be using here. We are going to bring this up a little bit and we are going to put in our first example here. We have 2 strings, destination and source, and you see that we tried and made sure that they are large enough to contain however many characters we want to put in, and they are row arrays stored on the stack because they are set up like this. And again, you can check out the documentation here if you want to know how this function works. And we are going to call strcat here to concatenate the source to our destination here. So if we do this, we're going to have world here concatenated to what we have in hello here. And we're going to have hello world in place. For example, if we try and print this out, we're going to try and do that. After we do the first concatenation here, let's do that. That's going to be better to show you how these things work. Okay, after the first function here runs, we're going to have source concatenated to destination here. So what we're going to have is hello world stored in destination here. The second concatenation here is going to append goodbye world to whatever we have in destination here. So what we're going to have printed out is, if we print that, of course, is hello world and goodbye world. Okay, we're going to have this printed out. Let's try and run this and actually make sure that that's the case. And then we're going to see how these functions can be unsafe for some compilers. We're going to build this with GCC. You see that it's going to go through. And if we run this, we're going to have hello world, goodbye world printed out. This is what we expect. And again, this function here, strcat, is going to have whatever you have in source, and it is going to append that to whatever you have in destination. And for this to work, you have to be sure that the destination is modifiable. For example, if it was an array of const char, let's do that and show you the compiler error. We should get a compiler error because now destination is not modifiable. It is an array of const characters and we can't modify it. So be sure the destination array is modifiable, and in this case it is. Okay, please note that some of these functions can be treated as unsafe by some compilers, but I tried this out on both on GCC and the compiler from Microsoft, and they work pretty well, so you can try them out here. To prove that, let's go and try and build with the compiler from Microsoft. We have it set up here. So we're going to run the task to build with MSVC here. And you're going to see that the build is going to be good. The build finished successfully. And if we go in, we're going to clear and run Rooster, you're going to see that it is going to do exactly the same thing. But some compilers might give you warnings or errors if you try to do something like this. And the reason is you really have to be careful using these functions, because if, for example, destination array is not large enough, you may do some crazy things running over the bounds of your array, and it can be really bad. For example, if we try and make destination array here, for example, a size of 3, it is possible to do that. And you see that we get a warning from Visual Studio Code. And if we try and build this with GCC, let's try and remove the garbage we have from Visual Studio first. Now that this is clean, we can try and build with GCC. Let's do that. Our compiler, we're going to choose GCC. And you're going to see that it's going to give you an error. It's going to actually protect us from doing something like this. But in some cases, some compilers are not going to stop you from doing this. But any compiler that really respects itself is going to have these safety checks in and is going to protect you from doing something crazy like this. Okay, this is how you can do concatenation using strcat like we did here. Let's try and build and see that now we are building fine, because I don't like these red lines here. The build is good and we are all fine. Now I am going to comment this out and we're going to see another example of how we can concatenate stuff. We are going to go down here. Let's bring this down and hide this. And we are going to put in our simple example. Exactly the same thing we saw in the slides. We have two character arrays. They are dynamic arrays, but we initialize them with characters like this. And we make sure to put in our null terminator. We have our source string, which is going to say the Phoenix King, and it's going to have a terminator here. And what we're going to do, we're going to take source and concatenate that to our destination. So what is really going to happen, we are going to overwrite the null terminator here, and we're going to start pasting in things from source here. So after the concatenation is done, what we are doing here, we are concatenating source1 to dest1. We are going to have firelord, the Phoenix King, stored in our destination string here. And notice that we made sure that it is large enough to contain our characters here. And if we print it out, we're going to have the thing printed out. We can try and build with GCC. That's going to go through. Let's bring this up. The build is good. If you go down here, the build is good. We're going to clear and run Rooster. Okay, this is the output here. You see that the destination is 8 characters long. If we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Remember, strlen doesn't count the null characters, so this is what we expect, 8 characters. The source is going to be 17 characters. If you count all this, that's what you're going to get. And if we concatenate them, now destination is going to be 25 characters long in the eyes of strlen. And you see that we print the destination, and it is exactly what we expect. Firelord, the Phoenix King. Okay, we're going to comment this out. I just wanted you to see an example of this. And the one thing I really want to stress in this example is that strcat is going to start overriding whatever is in dest starting at the last null character. Okay, so this guy is going to be overridden by the comma here, and we're going to start and put in stuff. And that's what we're going to see here. Let's comment this out because we want to move on and show you a few other examples. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is a new version of strcat that allows you to specify how many characters you want concatenated from source. For example, here we have two strings, destination and source. And here we are basically saying, I want to concatenate 6 characters from source and put them at the end of the destination here. And what it's going to do, it's going to grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to grab this entire thing, and it's going to append that to hello. and we're going to have hello there stored in the destination. And the return value is going to be a pointer to destination 2. And how do I know the return value? Well, I know that from the documentation. If you go in your favorite search engine and do std_str_and_cat, and you're going to see a link here. If you click on it from CPP reference, it's going to give you everything you need to know about this function here. It's going to append source to destination, and n count characters are going to be copied. So the third parameter here is going to be how many characters you want copied and pasted into our destination. And the return value is going to be dest. Okay, if we try this out, we're going to see hello there printed out. We're going to print it out directly, and we're going to print that out using the destination pointer that is going to be returned from this guy here. So if we try and build this, we're going to build with GCC. The build is going to be good. We're going to clear and run rooster, and you're going to see that we have hello there twice here, and this is exactly what we expect. We are going to comment this out, and we are going to go down and look at strcpy, I should say strcpy, which is going to copy stuff from the source and paste those in the destination. And one thing you should know is that the copy is going to happen starting from the start of the destination array. Here we have two arrays. One is called source3, the other is called destination3. Destination3 is set up on the heap using the new operator, so it is a dynamic array, and you see that we make sure that it is the same size as the source. We are using strlen to figure out how many characters we have in here. And remember that strlen doesn't account for the null character, so we are adding 1 to account for the null character. That's what we are doing here. And after that, we are going to do std_strcpy. And what that is going to do is copy stuff from source to destination character by character. So we are basically going to have this guy pasted into destination here. And if we print things out, we're going to see that destination contains the same thing as source here. If we build this with GCC, let's do that. The build is going to be good. We can clear and run rooster, and you're going to see that the destination has exactly the same thing we had in the source. And if you need to copy stuff from arrays, strcpy is going to be very helpful. We are going to comment this out because we still have a few things we want to see. So let's comment this out. We are going to go down and see that we can also use another version that allows us to specify how many characters we want copied from the source. Okay, in this example here, we are using std_str_and_cpy, and this n here means that we can specify the count of characters we do whatever the current function is doing here. Okay, so we are specifying I want 5 characters copied from source, and I want those pasted into destination here. That's what we are saying here. And the source is going to contain hello, destination is going to contain world, and the copy is going to happen starting at the first index here. So we're going to have hello override whatever we have in A, B, C, D, E, because that's 5 characters here. And dest is going to contain hello F if we print it out. Let's build this and see if that's what we're going to get. We're going to build with GCC. The build is going to go through. We are going to clear and run rooster. And you see that that's exactly what we have here. Okay, this is how these methods work. There are many more functions you can use from the C string library. And again, if you want to see a list of them all, you can go through your favorite search engine and search for C string. And we can specify CPP reference here. Let's try and do that. Okay, we can find a link to that. We can click on that, and it's going to open up and show us many more functions we can use. And if you need to know about a special function, you can click on it and see what it does. And if you go down, you're going to find even an example of how you can use it. For now, we are going to stop here in this lecture, and this is actually going to be the last lecture we see on C strings. In the next one, we're going to start and look at std string, which is a compound type that makes working with strings very easy in C++. Go ahead and finish up here and meet me there.